All right, good morning, everybody. We'll go ahead and get started here. Happy Thursday to every one of you. Today we're going to kick off a webinar today, which I want to just kind of title here. It's really designed around the good, the better, and the best when you think about FirstNet and the mobile deployments that take an approach here on that. Next slide. So my name is Chris Ortiz, and I am a channel manager with AT&T within our FirstNet organization. And I've got responsibilities with oversight to our dealer program. And this journey for FirstNet would not be possible if we didn't involve really key partnerships with different various technology partners that play an important role in what they do every day to help drive and consult and sell around different products and applications within public safety today. And two of those key partnerships that we have today are on this call. Our first, we'll be having on this call as well, side with me is Mr. Jason Jenkins, who is a National Account Manager with USAT Corporation, and along with Michael Fletcher, who is a Manager of Carrier Business Development with Cradlepoint. Next slide.
So hello, everyone. So USAT Corp specializes in improving the efficiency of our clientele's mission-critical operations through reliable communications. Here we use wireless routers, also known as cellular gateways, to accomplish just that. We work on custom antenna solutions to ensure our clients are getting the best connection, and we use our DevProv service to provide custom configurations and support to make sure our deployments are smooth for our clients. We work closely with our partners such as AT&T and Cradlepoint to make sure we deliver a best-of-breed solution. So I'd like to turn it over to Michael Fletcher from Cradlepoint to tell us a little bit more about Cradlepoint.
Yes, good morning, everybody. Thanks for the time and attention you're giving us and your interest in learning about this technology and how it's shaping and taking place in the public sector markets around the country. Cradlepoint's based out of Boise, Idaho, and we are the leader of 3G, 4G, and LTE cellular routers utilizing software-defined modems that will give you that secure connection onto the cellular network and support your network. We have fixed in-building and in-vehicle solutions along with IoT solutions as well. Currently, as of today, 5,400 plus agencies in the United States use and trust Cradlepoint to support their network and to keep their first responders safe. Go ahead, Jason.
All right, thanks a lot, Michael. Go ahead and we'll just real quick. So I want to real quick just kind of talk real quick at a high level on FirstNet. I know that many of you have probably gotten a little information. Some may know a little bit more advanced on FirstNet, but just real quick, let me give just a real quick high level for those that are not familiar. So FirstNet is the first ever public safety nationwide broadband network that's focused around network services and solutions that are dedicated to first responders and those that support them. So when you think about FirstNet, I want to make sure that if there's anything you can take away from today's call, that it's more than just about the first public safety broadband network, but it also involves all the various different things that you all do every day that play a role in first responders or emergency management, that also include the different types of services that you all are using every day, the applications that play mission critical, and especially those purpose-built devices when you think about all the various different endpoints that allow you to do your job, whether it's to communicate or to be able to leverage the broadband footprint of being able to use those specific devices to get the information and analytics that you do to do your job every day. Just on the bottom, real quick, I just want to kind of just show just kind of a timeline bar of why this journey has been such a critical piece here. When you think about the 9/11 event that obviously took a big impact in our country back in September 9th of 2001, one of the things that we have also learned even post-event since then is that there's just been a lot of different events that really have impacted the way that public safety communicates. So one of the things that I want to make sure that is really key about this initiative is that back when you look back at March 2010, there was a commission that was established, the 9/11 Commission, to really make a recommendation on creating the first ever nationwide public safety network. And through that progress, what we've also seen is where in 2012 there was an authority, an actual board that was developed to have oversight to start developing the different type of standards and the architecture that would make and encompass this first ever public safety broadband network. And then what happened from here on is that there was an award that was placed and was awarded to AT&T in March of 2017, where AT&T was given the contract to provide the capabilities for the FirstNet network to be built. And coming from AT&T, I can tell you that one of the things that really, I think, speaks to the story of why we are where we're at today is AT&T has had over 100 years of investment into our first responder community. When you date back to even the evolution of 911 services and even to where we've taken our network and allowed the ability for our first responders to be able to have all the various different ways in communication resources, this has obviously been a huge win for us in the fact that we were able to demonstrate that successful years of experience around that. So what you're seeing today is we are today really being put to the task of developing all the tools today that advance everything that you do to do your job and do it well. Next slide. So let's talk about this. I think this is one of probably the most important pieces that many of you may question from time to time, but one of the things that I really want to stress about the FirstNet network is that this is a dedicated, highly secure core network. What I mean by that is that the FirstNet, think of the FirstNet core basically as the brain and the nervous system behind this nationwide network. It separates the public safety traffic today from the commercial traffic and then supports all the current functions today that you see, which are the things like quality of service, which I'll talk about here in just a second, and priority and preemption on that. So just as you kind of see here on the bottom, this is a good depiction here that all these different elements that really play key into this network all start from the device, from the connection to the core, and all the software, whether that's within the network or the services that also support that to allow you to be able to leverage this network. Next slide. So let's talk about priority here for a second. I think this is really an important piece here. For many of you that may not understand the QoS and the importance of why this is really an important thing when you think about the FirstNet network, is that quality of services really refers to any technology today that manages data traffic to help reduce any type of packet loss, latency, or any type of jitter on a network. So really QoS is really behind the scenes of what it's doing. It's controlling and managing network resources by setting priorities for specific types of data sessions that you would see that would take place in any network. So what's really important about this from a quality of service perspective is that U.S. first responders out there, have to maintain access to critical communication resources at all time to ensure connectivity and capacity that you're doing. And we really take this as a major obligation in what we do here, because you all are putting your lives on the line to obviously ensure the safety of others, and it's very important that we have the QoS that plays an important role into this. So just want to make sure that if anything you can take away from today is that from the FirstNet side is that FirstNet responders will always receive access to resources first ahead of any other users that are on this network. You're always on, and you're never throttling when you're utilizing any type of text, data, or voice services. In a time of crisis, first responders within the network will always get the first access to the necessary resources through the automatic preemption capabilities of this network. So through software-defined networks and what we've done within the FirstNet network allows us to be able to utilize that in order to make sure that you always have a good experience through this process. Next slide. So one of the things that we want to take back here real quick, and this is really important, is that this is a network that was designed for public safety by public safety. And when I talked about here in the previous slides about how the FirstNet was first developed was that the authority and the board that has oversight to this entire initiative really brought industry experts from public safety to really listen to you all, to really understand the technology challenges that you face every day. When we built this network, it was really important that this is your network. We want to make sure that at the end of the day, you have control and insight to what's taking place when you're on the FirstNet network. So the things I would say that are probably the most important pieces is that when any subscriber today that gets activated on the FirstNet network, is now going to be able to have visibility and analytics to how that network is performing at any given time. And with that, it's very important that we really help you be able to manage the different various tools that we give you to do just that, so that you are able to manage not just the everyday traffic that you see that's going on, but at the same time, be able to control the users that you have, so that if you do ever have an incident that should, knock on wood, that never does happen, but should you be able to leverage this at any given point, that you have the ability to have all the necessary things that involve things from customer support. It's very important that customer support, having 24/7 and 365 days throughout the year, that you have a dedicated support through any event to make sure that you can manage whatever necessary resources are provided within the FirstNet network. Local control, this is the kind of the tool that you'll get over time. We'll hear a lot about, but this is, at the end of the day, this is really the tool that allows you to manage those resources, that provides control and visibility into that network, so that you understand the operational status, the site conditions, through everything via an administrative hub that we provide, all secured login through the internet. Training, again, we have various different type of trainings to ensure that for those that are getting started within the FirstNet, that you understand every piece and function that plays a critical role. So one of the things that we really take pride in is making sure that the training elements are definitely there, designed for you, to make sure that as you start to adopt into FirstNet, that you definitely can understand all the different things that we provide in that. And then uplift management. Uplift management, at the end of the day, is one of the things that I think I will say is one of the most key important resources that, should an incident ever take place within your environment, that it's important that you have the ability to then take a portal and be able to uplift and elevate priorities around your different users that have specific roles and responsibilities around public safety, to be able to help and make sure that you are able to do what you need to do in any given event. So one of the things I just want to make sure that at the end of the day, about control, this is one of the things that you'll definitely gain from leveraging the FirstNet network. Next slide. And with that said, I'm going to go ahead and pass this over here to Mr. Jason Jenkins to go ahead and talk about the good, the better, and the best deployments. Jason?
Yeah, thanks, Chris. So now I want to take some time and dive into, what solutions are available today, as well as, what are we seeing in the field right now. And we're going to start with just a real basic type of solution and then work our way to the most advanced solution. So let's take a look at a good but limited solution. This is a good place to start, as we see many agencies who are either testing the waters on network coverage with some sort of hotspot, or they've deployed the solution as a means to have some connectivity in their vehicles. So, these solutions can provide an LTE internet connection. They're going to give you the ability to connect to FirstNet with a FirstNet capable device. You're going to see a connection via Wi-Fi, and many of these will have maybe one Ethernet port available. They can be portable, some may be battery operated even, and you typically get into these at a low price point, depending on the carrier and the pricing. Some of the potential issues, though, that we see with these is it really lacks ruggedized form factor for your long-term deployments. You'll see some loss in network connectivity, and this can be frequent at times. And you cannot connect an external antenna to really maximize the signal quality. They should not be considered really for the mission-critical communication that you all need. So as we get into a better in-vehicle solution, we take a look at the Cradlepoint IBR 900. Now, Cradlepoint's NetCloud solution, packaged with a ruggedized IBR 900 LTE router, is designed to enable secure enterprise-grade networking and security for mobile networks and police and first responder vehicles. This is anywhere and a reliable mobile connection is required. So the Cradlepoint IBR 900 is AT&T FirstNet ready. You're going to support FirstNet and Band 14 with a FirstNet ready modem and the core extensibility dock. Cradlepoint's NetCloud management services are available with this device on every solution package. You're going to see ruggedized hardware for vehicles that are in challenging environments. This device offers the best Wi-Fi. It's the first LTE router with Wave 2 gigabit Wi-Fi. It also offers gigabit Ethernet ports as well as active GPS. And this bullet's one of the features we're seeing a lot of requests for, which is Wi-Fi as WAN. So when you deploy a device like this feature allows you to offload data securely via Wi-Fi places you dedicate to. So this might be headquarters, it might be the department station, could be your garage, wherever you see fit. You get more robust power capabilities with AC and DC capabilities, and there's versions available of this device that are FIPS 140-2 capable. You also have the optional or the external antenna, which is really what allows for the most reliable signal connection, especially in mission critical situations. So now we take a look at the best solution for in-vehicle cellular connections, which is Cradlepoint's IBR 1700. Cradlepoint's NetCloud solution package with the ruggedized IBR 1700 LTE router is designed to extend the value of the SD-WAN to mobile networks in vehicles like mobile command centers, incident command centers, or really anywhere robust networking with wireless WAN connectivity is required. Now this device is going to offer 5 gigabit Ethernet ports. It's going to offer 3 radio gigabit Wave 2 Wi-Fi connections. The Cradlepoint IBR 1700 is also FirstNet ready. You're going to also be able to take advantage of the NetCloud management services in every solution package with this device. It's going to offer you dual modem, so it supports dual network options for continuous connectivity to multiple networks. You have precision GPS with dead reckoning, which is going to enable your location-based applications. You're also going to get OBD2 support with accessory cable for AVL, vehicle health, and diagnostics reporting. And you have extensibility with the GPIOs, additional Ethernet ports, and more flexibility right out of the box. So seeing this device where you need many connections on it at one time that all are going to require some really high demand from data, or deployed into a vehicle where you want to run dual networks simultaneously and really maximize multiple cellular connections. So let's talk a little bit about if you've already deployed a Cradlepoint solution in years prior. So we see this a lot, and Cradlepoint's done a great job coming up with a field upgradable solution. So if you currently have an existing Cradlepoint Air Series router, you can simply add a FirstNet ready MC400 600M-C-AT device from Cradlepoint to the additional slot on the router to make it FirstNet ready with band 14. Now, if you currently have an IBR 1100 or an IBR 900, you can simply insert the new FirstNet ready MC400 mentioned and device right into your accessibility dock from Cradlepoint, and then slide your existing router, your IBR 1100 or 900, into this dock. Make sure you have the correct antenna solutions, and these are very simple ways for you to take a currently deployed router, a Cradlepoint router, and field upgrade it into a FirstNet ready band 14 device. So now I want to turn it back over to Michael Fletcher from Cradlepoint, who brings 20 years of first responder experience, 15 of that as a deputy sheriff, to talk a little bit more about the advanced functionality of these mobile routers.
Thanks, Jason. You know, if you are not utilizing an in-vehicle solution, these are some of the things that you can achieve. You can actually gain secure data transfer to your headquarters, to records, to dispatch. And of course, the GPS supports both TAPE and NEMA certified protocols. That's a federal requirement. Obviously, you may know this, but it's a federal requirement for being able to track a patient in an ambulance or a paramedic rig, or an asset such as a student on a school bus. But the in-vehicle solutions, this mobile office can provide you with all kinds of in-vehicle and secure connectivity from your dash cameras, your body cameras, AVL, GPS, whether you're using an MDT or a Toughbook license plate reader. As a deputy sheriff, when I pulled my shotgun, I had to make a split decision. Do I tell dispatch I need backup and I'm pulling my shotgun, or do I just do it and let them know after the fact? One of the connections that you can make is it'll automatically send an alert to dispatch that the officers just pulled their shotgun. It'll automatically, it'll automatically tell them, dispatch, where that officer's vehicle is at and that they need help. So the officer can just simply take care of business and trust the technology of the Cradlepoint router to send that alert to dispatch. You're a paramedic or an ambulance, you've got a med box, controlled substance. It'll actually send an alert when somebody has opened up that box, either a planned event or somebody's broken into it. when somebody's running lights and sirens, running code, and dispatch tells them to shut it down and they continue to run, you can be aware of that and you can divert any risk that might happen. And then, of course, the enhanced cellular connectivity. One particular cellular router in a vehicle can support as many as 64 different end-user clients in and around that vehicle. Next slide, please. You know, the network edge is really, really critical. If you think about what makes up this public sector network, towers out into the field, vehicles, offices, and devices that are being deployed and supported by that network, the network edge really connects and controls all public safety network links, and it provides connectivity and visibility to the vehicles, the officers, the fixed offices and devices around the network. Next. Some of the challenges of having this excellent data, this edge data communications, is lack of reliable connections when you need them most. Maybe an incomplete security system in the network introducing some unacceptable risk. Complexity of introducing unnecessary mistakes and costs. And again, really being able to know where your people are, your devices are, gives you the inability to track those devices and keeping visibility on your staff. And of course, weather always can make hardware susceptible. Next. So, you know, Jason mentioned the mobile software to SD-WAN connections that Cradlepoint can provide for you. You can just see by this slide, Cradlepoint will support all of those devices around your vehicle, and you can use it as Wi-Fi, fixed WAN, wireless WAN. You can use 2 different carriers, whether it's public sector network 1, a second carrier network that's identified, and you can even rely on satellite. So our devices will talk to all of those systems and support you no matter what, and traffic steered based upon your policy and current circumstances. You can have separated internal employees where they're having access on your agency's network, and then secondary people supporting you on an incident. They can have a separate access to the network, and keeping non-public sector agencies like public utilities and water and parks departments or road departments, keeping them out of your mission critical data, but yet still supporting them on that incident. Next, please. Some of the advanced, customized advanced edge applications that are being utilized using a software-defined kit. If your agency either has a contractor or somebody within your agency that can make unique solutions that are meeting your needs, you can actually identify those needs and use a software-defined kit to control things like locking your door, quickly regaining entry into a vehicle. Programming using the software-defined kit allows you for control over Python programming language, protection on a device, being deployed through the cloud, and this is something that's available through Cradlepoint for your developer community. But you can actually unlock doors, turn off lights, gain access, lose access, and monitor it all through Cradlepoint's powerful NetCloud Manager. And these are just high-level things I'm touching on, and we certainly can get into a conversation with your IT staff or your developer community within your organization to help you understand the power of our solution. Next, please. So really what Cradlepoint brings to the table is an all-in-one solution and just bringing streamlined performance. What's featured here is the AER 1600 and the 2200. But we are the world's first LTE router with 3 carrier aggregation and up to 600 millibits per second speeds. We are the only wireless SD-WAN capable, and we also integrated IoT NetCloud perimeter to help you manage your devices, covert cameras deployed out into a neighborhood, controlling evidence lockers, making sure that the temperatures don't rise to a certain level that would damage or contaminate blood evidence or controlled substances. And of course, it's extensible. The router SDK and NCM APIs are available again to your staff. But we're providing this wireless WAN router, the LAN switching, AP controller, the edge computing, security, cloud management, and 24/7 technical support. Next, please. Go ahead, Jason.
All right. So what do the next steps look like, right? If you have a current solution or you want more information on these solutions, you want to make sure you're going to contact a preferred partner like us here at USAT Corp and really get expert consultation. You want to make sure you look for FirstNet dealers if that's what you're interested in, like us at USAT, to ensure you have an expert that can deliver a complete solution for you and your deployment. You want to determine what the now looks like, and then also what does later look like. So not only what are your goals initially with your deployment, but what do you want to be prepared for in the future? You want to make sure you use a trusted partner to make sure you have a custom solution based on your needs. And then lastly, we want to make sure that your partner can offer custom deployments with services like DevProv. And so DevProv is a suite of services that's designed to really provide a more economical and efficient wireless deployment by delivering things like modem testing, pre-deployment updates, additional support that's available, also things like modem labeling, asset reporting, and template installation. So as you look to start to deploy a new solution, upgrade your current solution, these are the things that you really want to hone in on, and the best way to do that is to reach out to a preferred partner, start to really talk through what your project might look like and what the needs are so that we can start to put together something that makes sense for you and your deployment as you begin to look into that. So now that we've taken some time, we've covered FirstNet, we've talked a lot about how Cradlepoint helps integrate that. We've talked about good, better, best, and how to field upgrade your current solution. I want to take some time here, open it up, see if anyone has any questions for Chris, Michael, or myself that we can answer. So please feel free. You can send questions via the chat box that's in the webinar, or you can open up your voice line by pressing *6 to unmute and be able to ask any of your questions. Take a look, see what we have out here. All right, so let's see.
If there's something that we've said that maybe generated some thought, please, you don't have to necessarily bring it up in today's call, but take a minute, document our contact information, think on what we've discussed. Maybe we've planted an idea with you. Maybe you've been thinking about trying to incorporate FirstNet into your network, and you're looking to maybe enhance how you support your staff in the field or the network connections that you have. Please feel free to reach out to us after this call. We're certainly here to help you, and we just want to make sure you know that we're here to support you, and what you do is important, and that we're wanting to make sure that you and your staff stay safe and have the very best solutions. And we got a question: are these devices 5G compatible? Yes. Matter of fact, Cradlepoint is actively working with AT&T and manufacturing to be on the FirstNet Core, on the commercial core, and taking it into 5G as well. So we are well on the path, and I think we're probably leading the way on the path to 5G as the network gets built out. Any other questions?
Yeah, and Chris, I don't know if you want to talk to AT&T's 5G position. I believe as they roll Band 14, there's some 5G communication as well in terms of AT&T's path, right?
There is, Jason. So, we're already starting to do 5G testing already in some major markets today. think one of our ultimate goals right now is we want to make sure that obviously as we get 5G rolling across our commercial networks that we're also going to align that to ensure that, everything that we incorporate inside the FirstNet Core relative to the actual technology, with it being 5G, is able to support every piece end-to-end. So to answer your question, yes, Jason, 5G is definitely going to be a major important piece of the FirstNet strategy as we push through and continue to roll that out. I would say as we start to see, you probably start to see a lot more messaging around that going later into this year into early next.
And so this is Michael at Cradlepoint. The question is, will these devices assist in improving service gaps? I want to say yes to that. One thing that Cradlepoint manufactures is a smart device. And so what I mean by that is if you deploy a Cradlepoint router, it's a 3G, 4G, and LTE cellular router, and you roll out of the LTE market and you roll into an area that's 3G or 4G, the Cradlepoint device will dumb itself down and utilize existing 3G, 4G signal that's out in the more rural areas that a lot of people don't even realize that it exists. So when you're chasing the bad guy down the highway and you roll into a 3G, 4G market, the cell towers are there, there's signal available to you, and the Cradlepoint device will dumb itself down, roll over to that 3G, 4G signal, and then, of course, part of the solution is continuing to roll out even beyond the cellular networks. You can actually rely on satellite, and that Cradlepoint device will talk to a satellite system so that it'll continue to receive signal and support the device at and around that incident. When you finally get the guy stopped and you get him into custody, the functionality of your patrol car and the systems attached to that router will continue to work, and you'll communicate back to dispatch simply by using satellite. Another thing that agencies are considering is taking a Cradlepoint device and placing it on agency-owned infrastructure like water towers and their two-way radio, land mobile radio sites, and that helps enhance coverage. I don't necessarily have to see the cell tower that's on the other side of the ridge. I can actually see the water tower or the radio tower that my land mobile radio equipment is on. My device will hit that tower and then ricochet over onto the cellular network because the tower can see the cell site even though my vehicle cannot. And it looks like there's a question about, is it always priority traffic or only when an emergency? With an emergency, what determines that? I can speak to that, but we'll let Chris address that question.
Yeah, thank you, Michael. So, the important thing to recognize is that this is an always-on, think of this as an always-on, always-connected network. So, versus being in a situation where you have to depend on whether an emergency event triggers, that's not the case. So what we want to ensure is that one thing when you think about your roles in emergency management is that an event can take place unplanned. So it's always critical that this is always in priority mode at any given moment so that when should an event ever strike, that you all have the priority in that communication to be able to have that when needed. So the answer is priority is always on all times throughout the day without having to do anything special to the device.
Yep. And I'll complement what he said, too. As the FirstNet Core was being built out, AT&T took advantage of the existing network they already had, and they began giving first responders priority and preemption on the commercial core. And really what that meant is that it would allow the network to recognize a first responder router on the network, and there was an emergency in that area. As soon as that traffic began to get busy, they would be steered away to a secondary cell tower maybe further down the road, and that would free up the resources of that commercial cell tower to support the first responders at that incident. But now, of course, with the FirstNet Core being live, that is a standalone private network that is on all the time. So hopefully that answers the question about that. And the question about in-building coverage as well. Cradlepoint supports in-building coverage, and so we can support your dispatch center, your courts, your jails, your detective bureaus, just anywhere that you have an in-building solution. You can simply rely on a Cradlepoint device, install it. It can be part of your head-end equipment. You can actually attach up to 4 separate wireless access points, and you can take advantage of using AT&T's network and a Cradlepoint device and even make Wi-Fi calling in an area down like in a subterranean level of a basement or something in a building or behind a big thick concrete wall in a jail facility. You can still gain access to the network, and you can make Wi-Fi calling through a Cradlepoint device, your cell phone, and the AT&T network.
Yeah, and I would piggyback on that, Michael. This is when it's really key to make sure you're really looking at your antenna solution from an in-building perspective to make sure you're getting the proper antennas set up and they're placed in the right spots and the proper testing is done to ensure that in-building solution is really maximizing the network and the device, right?
Correct. And something else that Cradlepoint can actually help you do is it'll support QoS. So if you have a PBX or a VoIP system and your phone system crashes, the Cradlepoint device will continue to support that and will take that on, and your dispatchers can continue to field calls. There's agencies all over the country that have PSAPs that are looking to utilize Cradlepoint either as a primary or as a failover solution to help maintain connectivity at their public sector access points. There's a question, Chris, about who manages the local control tool.
Yeah, so another good question out there. So local control is actually managed by an administrator within your agency, or it could be sub-administrators that are also involved. So let's say if you are an agency but you have different divisions within your agency that have separate functions within emergency management, you can have a main administrator that has functionality of the local control that kind of take control on many higher levels, but then you can establish what we call sub-administrators that can have specific type of access into local control, more so on the elevation side, more the ability to be able to capture and manage incidents and analytics that come through there. So just note that the local control is definitely is managed by an administrator that would be a chosen delegate within your agency to do that. And if you do need additional folks that have to do it across different divisions, the ability to do that is also there as well.
So I'm not sure if, Philip, to add what Chris is saying, let's say I'm the city manager and the police force has an emergency and I need to roll out public works or a utility group. They're secondary responders, but in this particular instance, I have the ability to elevate them to a level 1 responder for a 24-hour period of time to give them full access to the power of the FirstNet Core while they're supporting the police department on that incident. Maybe there was a hostage situation, they had to control utilities, maybe there's a busted water line and there's flooding and we have to control traffic and prevent people from driving into a huge hole. So a secondary responder like a road department they're not necessarily going to have the direct priority access to the network without me lifting them up and making them a level 1 responder. And that's part of the control that you'll get at the local level.
Yeah, I think, you guys did a great job articulating local control. I think this is one of the key features when you think about FirstNet and giving first responders complete control over this network to make sure that it's working and being able to manage it the way they need to in the time of an incident. So I think it's a key feature.
Are there any other questions?
I think they've come to an end here for us, gentlemen. So, I just want to thank everyone for participating. Really appreciate all the questions, and hopefully this helped you, get a better understanding of how to take advantage of, a good, better, best mobile deployment and how to get it set up on the network and what those steps look like for each and every one of you. So really appreciate the participation, and we're going to go ahead and end the webinar now. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.